Oops, you're on mute, Chad.
So, are you guys ready for the most exciting news of your lives?
What's that?
The one thing we've been waiting 10 years for?
You already know? Okay.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Maybe.
Yes. I was so excited when they announced that.
Man. You know, that's the one thing everybody's been complaining about for a long time now is it's too long.
But we have a trade-off to that, though, because this week SmackDown is 3 hours. Does that mean SmackDown's going to be 3 hours every week now?
See, I wasn't sure because someone told me that, and I looked that up, and like some of the other bloggers are saying that it's like it's a rumor and someone misspoke or something like that. Like, is it on TV Guide as like 3 hours?
They said it during Raw last night.
Okay, I must have been out of the picture for the moment.
I'm surprised they did that too, because we have Victory Road this Friday too. So with their TNA partnership, I'm surprised that they want to go head to head, seeing they're sort of working together.
Well, we're gonna go head to head anyway because SmackDown's every Friday regardless. So
that's true. I'm just surprised. I know they don't want to compete against college football, but usually they put it on Friday when WWE has a pay-per-view on Saturday. But I guess they just didn't want to try to go against it this week to change the schedule.
Wonder what Goldberg thinks. He's a college football guy. I can't wait to get. Oh man, that's the best part of. Oh, I love it. But it makes you wonder if this 2 hour thing will continue. Did they say what the Netflix contract was for how many hours?
No, but there was speculation when they signed it that Raw, since they're not going to have commercials, that Raw was going to go to 2 hours.
I think they gave us a little bit of a teaser of it last night because they said that first hour was commercial free, but yet we saw the same commercials we would see during a PLE. So my guess is they'll do like a soft 2 hour cap. Like some weeks we'll have like how they used to have the overruns, like maybe 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 20 minutes, but try to keep it around that 2 hour number.
This is from WOR today, so it's from Meltzer. So again, take it with a grain of salt. But he says it's a 3 hour show. When they moved back to Netflix, I had it confirmed a few minutes ago. The basic situation is that it was a USA Network call, not a WWE call. I'm not sure, blah, blah, blah. It will boost the ratings of the show because they won't have that third hour that drags down the average, but I'm not sure exactly why USA made that call. So I guess we'll just see.
Yeah.
Who knows? I guess we'll find out. So, let's see. A lot of interesting
Before we
stuff.
get into wrestling news, I just do want to say rest in peace to Lord Vader. James Earl Jones.
Yeah, it's unfortunate news. Did you see the Empire State Building, the way they did it for him?
Yep.
Did you see Mark Hamill's tweet? It said, "Rip Dad."
Yep.
Oh, so sad.
All the guys from Big Bang Theory have been tweeting out clips from the show.
That's one of my favorite. Like, I love everything he did, but like that part he played on Big Bang Theory was like one of my favorite roles like he ever had. He's like, I was in other stuff, and I'm like, yes.
Yep. He's in my all-time favorite movie, Sandlot. So,
I mean, it's sad. And apparently he had signed a contract with Disney like not too long ago. So I guess he was going to do some more work with them or something like that, but obviously not now. And I don't know why you'd be signing contracts when you're like 100 years old. That seems kind of weird. But I mean, Dick Van Dyke is like 98 and he was just at the Emmys the other day or whatever saying like, I'm looking for work. So
Hulk Hogan just signed a contract too. Like, who expected that? Like, what are they going to use him for over the next 5 years?
Oh man, you know what I would do? I would look at people who were like damaging to the brand image, and then I would sign contracts with them and not use them for anything.
Yep.
Like Hogan, I would sign some kind of long-term contract with them, and then I just wouldn't use them. So you keep them out of the picture. Cool. Go promote your beer brand. That's fine. Whatever. But everything else, just like shut up. Nobody cares. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, just like a sort of a like hush money thing, not related to what it usually is, but that in that way to just keep quiet about anything to do with wrestling.
And TKO they got that FU money, so
it's like they do in Hollywood. They'll buy writers that they don't like. They'll buy their scripts and just bury them, put them on the shelf.
Yep, exactly. Easy stuff. So last week we did we ended last week's show with Raw. So this week we're actually going NXT through Raw, so it's kind of still technically a 7-day period. So that'll work. But I wanted to do this. I'm gonna get a little crazy with it before we do that. We're gonna mix it up a little bit. And I'm gonna pop up the NXT or the women's. Well, there's a lot of NXT in it. The women's the Twitter championship, the Speed championship. This is the bracket. We already know one. I didn't change that. Did I use the old one?
I got it right here.
EO defeated Lyra for the first match. I guess I forgot to update that card, but yeah, so that one's already done. Anyways, looking at this, who do you guys see as the inaugural Speed champion?
I imagine Zelina's not in it.
I know. I don't give her anything.
I want to see Lyra Valkyria win it.
She already lost.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
The first match.
I didn't get a chance to watch.
Yeah, she already lost. I figure it'll be one of the two Asian women. I bet it'll be Io or Kairi would be my guess.
Yeah,
they're trying to push Damage Control, so yeah, I was thinking between them or Piper Niven.
Yeah, definitely could see her too.
One of those two would be good. So other than that, yeah, I didn't update that for some reason, but yeah, that's what happened with the first one. But anyways, standard stuff over on NXT main event with Dante Chen defeating Skylar Clinton, Riley Osborne defeating Malik Blade, and then down to NXT Level Up, Izzy Dame defeating Layla Diggs, Danny Palmer defeating Laney Reed, and Dante Chen defeating Drake Moreau. So my good friend not having any matches, I'm very disappointed.
He gets to take the week off from the job.
Yep.
It's so unfair. So it's interesting.
On main event this week.
I don't know. I haven't watched it. Well, I don't think it comes out on Hulu till Thursday anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Usually those I just watch them all together. Like on Saturday, I'll do Speed, main event, and Level Up. Like I'll just do them in like a block because there's most of it's filler, so you can knock all that out in like an hour. So it's usually pretty easy stuff to digest all at once. But I mean, that Speed bracket looks pretty cool. I mean, I like that and this is what they should have been doing, is using, lesser known people. Like if they're not going to use them on TV, then obviously use them on that. I mean, it gives them some kind of exposure. So I'm good with it.
Well, while we're talking about this, I know we just talked about the condensed Raw. How do y'all feel about going like with the 2-hour Raw? Not as much of the talent will be used still for the next and leading into January. You think that's a positive for the viewer or a negative for the talent when they come back to the viewer, that they're not gonna have the same enthusiasm that they had about them before?
I kind of like it, the 2 hours, because it seems like lately, especially with it being 2 instead of 3 hours, we won't get those long, drawn out, that end up boring as hell Drew McIntyre and CM Punk promos. If those were shorter, they would be perfectly fine. But it seems like they're starting to drag them out just to take up time on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll make some of those segments actually have purpose and actually, get to the point faster.
And that's what's better about 2-hour shows, is you really have to like drive your point home. Like there's no dicking around with it.
Exactly.
Yep. And I'm very interested to see how it looks, if it's just like a condensed version or if they actually are trying to, like they try to tell a different type of story or weave a different type of narrative with how they do it. Like I'd be very interested to see the potential for that. I have one more thing I want to show you guys here. This is from over on
cage match. Yeah, good old cage match.
This is our good friend Cutler James's match card here. 17 total matches since his debut with a win percentage of 0.
There we go.
I was gonna say that might be the Panthers' record this year.
Jobby McJobberson.
Whose cousin did he sleep with? Like, did he make a pass at Stephanie or something? Like, I don't know.
He decided to smack Steph's ass like freaking John Cena.
I mean, the same thing could be said for Giovanni Vinci, which we'll
that was pathetic. Yeah,
some of the dirt sheets were like, he must have backstage heat somehow. Like, what? Such a I don't know. I don't get it. We'll start with NXT, and then we'll move over there. So we had a pretty good NXT last week on September 3rd. The number one contenders championship triple threat match for the tag titles. The Rascals defeated Gallus and Hank and Tank,
and the winner doesn't matter.
I know. We'll talk about that, and I actually have that for tonight. I have a card on that later. Lexus King defeating Oro Mensah. Tatum Paxley defeating Rosemary. Probably one of my favorite matches I've seen in a long time. Two of my favorites. Trick Williams versus Pete Dunne, ending in a no contest via double countout. Javon Evans defeating Joe Coffey. Obafemi defeating Stax. Jada Parker defeating Jasmine Nix. So yes, go ahead. It doesn't count. Yeah.
Yep. Did they say why the Rascals are out?
I didn't hear about this. What happened?
Yeah, the Rascals got pulled. They announced it last night during Raw. The Rascals got pulled, and the Street Profits are taking their spot.
Yeah, I don't.
Is there something going on with that TNA partnership we don't know, and they're pulling their talent?
Well, Jordan Grace is supposed to
here it is in a tweet. Ava tweeted they were unable to compete due to somewhat conspicuous circumstances.
Conspicuous.
Maybe they were with Odyssey Jones.
Yeah, they hung out with. Did they hang out with Bronson Reed and get COVID? I mean,
so
I'm surprised they let him into Canada that quick. Seeing he just had it, they've been very strict on that still.
But if he was vaccinated, then he probably
that's true. Yeah.
Literally about a 2 to 3 day thing now. So unless you're not vaccinated, then it's the 7 to 14. But if he tested negative twice in 24 hours.
Yeah. So I don't know. It says it's conspicuous circumstances, but yeah, obviously tonight, of course, there will be a change, and the Street
Conspiracy
Profits
theory. Street Profits, they're gonna win the titles tonight.
You know, I'd be okay with it, honestly. I don't know. I think I'd be cool with it. Like, they're not really doing much anywhere else. Like,
yeah,
I'd be fine.
And they are a top tier team. I mean, give them a run somewhere.
Yeah, I'd be good with it. And let them build a feud with someone, then elevate another team. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe not against Gallus. Gallus is fine. Maybe have a feud against like the Family. I think those would be some fun promos. See Montez talking in like a Godfather accent, like
bring the Hardys back. They got to do something tonight. It's season premiere week, so they have to have something big happen tonight. You know, we didn't really see much big happen last night as far as returns or anything. We had Bret Hart, but they need to do something.
Well, this is what all we have for tonight so far for NXT. I mean, Julia's going to make her in-ring debut, so that's something.
I love Chelsea Green and how she called out half of that section for smelling.
Yeah. I mean, Obafemi has a mystery opponent, so that could be a good opportunity for someone. Maybe Joe Henry.
That's going to be Moose.
Is it?
That would be pretty. I wouldn't be upset.
Okay.
I would not be upset.
Okay. I'm good with it.
TNA Knockout Championship. We'll probably have Stephanie make her debut.
Yeah.
That could happen. Maybe. I could see that. If the Street Profits say they win the tag titles or whoever, or if Nathan Frazier and Axiom retain, do we see the Motor City Machine Guns or the Lucha Bros come out after?
Ooh. I was hoping that Penta was going to come out during the Rey Mysterio match last night, but it didn't happen. So if he comes out tonight, I will be happier than a pig in shit.
Let's see. Is there any? I haven't really heard anything about the Lucha Bros.
Their contract ended the 31st of August.
Let's see.
So they've been free agents for the last 10 days.
So, I mean, that would be fun. I mean, that would certainly be a surprise. That's for sure.
Yeah, but the LWO is not in NXT, though. So they can't debut there.
No, they don't need to.
We could always put them in Okada.
The LWO NXT edition?
No, they don't need to do any of that. They just need to be on their own. They don't need any of that stereotype stuff. Like, just leave them alone.
Unless Penta comes out with to answer Obafemi and
that could happen.
Being his mystery opponent.
Yeah,
there's
so many
Starks.
Yeah,
Watch it be Nick Nemeth.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of open-ended there. I mean, Obafemi has a mystery opponent. Jordan Grace has an open challenge. I mean, those could be Jordan Grace will probably be someone in NXT.
Jordan Grace's mystery opponent is going to be Mickie James.
So that means Obafemi's is going to be Matt Cardona.
And then Sable's going to come out.
Isn't she in jail?
Interfere.
Who's the one that's in
pretty
jail?
Sure she is.
That is Sunny.
Sunny. Okay, never mind. I always got them mixed up back then, so wasn't really studying too much of their characteristics, I guess. So yeah, it could be any of those. I mean, I think that leaves a lot of options. I like mystery opponents and open challenges because it could be literally anything. So, and NXT is the one show where there's actually good surprises and exciting things actually happen. So that means that there could actually be some good things that happen over there. So anyways, yeah. So other than that, any highlights from last week in NXT stand out before we kick along to SmackDown?
They need to change Lexus King's name, but I'm glad they're giving him a push finally and letting him win matches.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see what his looks like over here. His match statistics, 47% wins over his career.
The Trick Williams and Pete Dunne match was better than I anticipated.
Yeah.
Because as much as I don't like Butch, he's really good in the ring. And I didn't think Trick Williams was going to be able to keep up with him.
Yeah.
And it was a really good match.
It was nice to see a double count out. Well, just a count out in general. Never mind a double count out. It was just nice to see one of those because I can't remember the last time we've seen one in WWE. To be honest,
it's something different. Yeah, I honestly can't. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know if there's a way you can track that. Let's see. I don't know if they track that. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. There is a stat for that. I love cage match. It's like my favorite thing. Okay. So over to SmackDown, so we can do this fun thing because I have a stat for this shortly. So let's see. Bayley defeated Tiffany Stratton. Apollo Crews defeated Giovanni Vinci. I think it was like 3 seconds. Kevin Owens in a triple threat match defeated Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Chelsea Green defeated Michin. Timu Bloodline defeated DIY and the Street Profits. Okay, so to do the first things first, this is the match card for Giovanni Vinci. Any matches he's had with Apollo Crews. They faced off 4 times since 2019. I'm not counting the cage match. So they're even right now. They're 2-2 for wins and losses. Storyline wise, I don't know if they were even paying attention to any of that. So theories on why he lost so quickly. What do we think?
I just don't. First off, I don't know why he lost that quickly. I think they maybe want to. I hope they're not playing him as a joke and they're making him the male Chelsea Green. But that's what I fear, and that could maybe be a reason why. But he needs to. I don't know how you remove a guy from a superior faction, and then you have him have this hyped return with a video package and everything, and then you have him come out and job in 3 seconds like that.
Wishful.
Yeah.
Wishful. Oh, Jesus. I mean, he could have heat back there, or they could be building a story because, I mean, Apollo probably needed a win, so maybe they're building a story with him and Apollo. I don't know.
They're going to build the story just like they did Baron Corbin. He's going to fall off. He's going to start losing. He's going to lose everything, and then he's going to come back and start winning again.
Broke Vinci.
Happy Vinci.
Yeah.
Vinci.
Yeah, you see him with all the cars and the watches. Now he'll be homeless.
Bum ass Vinci.
Bum ass Vinci. Yeah, I don't get it.
Or he's going to go down to NXT and join the family. Which is what I wouldn't have mind seeing happen in the first place. That was originally what I hoped they were going to do with him when they wrote him off. So.
Or they could call the family up also.
Well, I've talked about this before, and I don't know, man. I don't know how that translates to like big TV. I mean, like small arenas and stuff. Like it's cool to run around playing like you're in The Godfather, but like if you're on like Netflix and Fox and whatnot in front of like 30,000 people, I don't know. I feel like it might insult their intelligence a little bit. I don't know.
Especially when you have gimmicks that are larger than life, so to say, like the Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, those ones we see on Smack or on NXT that are like smaller gimmicks, and they fit perfectly well in that smaller setting. They just get overshadowed on the main roster.
Basically, I mean, I don't know. I like them. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It's one of my favorite things on NXT every week. I just don't think it'll work on the main roster. Like, I don't see it translating.
No.
One thing that they could do and that could possibly make it work is if you have Nick Aldis call him up and then like they are bribing Nick Aldis or something like that to have everything go in their favor. But that's maybe one way it could work. But I think it would definitely be a challenge, just like the Wyatt Six have been. But so far, I think they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I'm curious when we get to that to find your street fight thoughts. So yeah. So other highlights from SmackDown. How are we feeling about the Bloodline story? I've been seeing a lot of hate on Twitter. People are just like, they have no direction. Like, people are not digging it, what they're doing with this.
At least we have, a sense of foreshadowing with Jacob looking like he's going to turn on Solo. We have something there that we're looking forward to every week.
Yeah.
But I know we're going to get into the preview of next week of this week, and I think we're going to see more payoff.
Yeah.
How do we feel about it being a cage match? I think the only reason this is a cage match is because we just had Swerve and Paige have theirs, and they want to try to outdo it somehow, even though that won't be possible.
I like cage matches. I've said before, I think Hell in a Cells are like overplayed, but like cage matches are, when I was coming up, were pretty common. Like, that's how you settled things. Like, when you got to like the heated part of a grudge match or a good feud, like, there was always a cage match. There were so many in WCW. Flair over in WWE was pretty common. Like, I think cage matches happen more often.
I had a VHS back in like 1993 that was literally, WWE's best cage matches of all time at the time, obviously. Yeah. But they had that. But and we saw it with the strap match. They went back to the original strap match, touching all four corners.
Really cool. Yeah.
I want to see them go back to original cage matches. No pins, no submission, no ref in the ring, escape, and that's it.
Feet have to touch the ground. Yep. Tradition. Yep.
I agree.
So yeah, Hell in a Cell, I don't think it needs a pay-per-view. I think the match should be randomly placed on pay-per-views like it used to be. And maybe like once a year for whatever your hottest feud is. Don't do them all the time. Cage matches, though, willy-nilly. Throw them in whenever you want. Like, I'm fine having a cage match every now and then. Throw one every other week. Like, I'm here for it.
Last one we had was Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. I don't like these people that are like, and I know you just mentioned it, Mike, but the Swerve and Hangman match. So now WWE wants to have one. I don't like the fans that say that because it's like, it's wrestling. Cage matches.
I was curious. I haven't talked to you guys since then. Like, how are y'all feeling about that?
Happen all the time in every federation or every company. So I just hope it doesn't become like that AEW.
What are y'all thinking about the controversy about that being, a negative image for pro wrestling or like
it really was? I literally, as soon as I watched it, I called my friend and I was like, this is the biggest blow that AEW is gonna take. And it wasn't just that match, it was in the pay-per-view in general with the Daniel Bryan story and all that shit. It was just over. When you have fans chanting "This is murder," you've taken a step in the wrong direction. And the syringe,
God, that made me cringe when I said, "Oh, dude,
why?" There was no point to that. What was in the syringe? They never talked about it. Nothing ever came of it, but he stuck a syringe through his cheek.
Yeah, like why?
That was my problem with it too. If you're gonna do it, we need to make a storyline about it. Like, there has to be what was in it. You have to say it was Thorazine or whatever you put in it, and he shouldn't have injected him in the gum either. You should just injected him right in his buttocks, like a normal thing would to make it as great. No, I'm serious, because that's the way they do it.
I like that you used the word
realistic as possible. And then the thing with the Bryan Danielson thing, I don't really have a problem with the Danielson one because you could clearly see he ripped a hole in it, and the bag would not be going like that if he didn't have the air to breathe out of it. But the hypodermic needle thing, if they do it right, I'm okay with it. But if they just did it to like for a gore factor, I think that's just plain stupid.
Yeah,
just the fact they stuck it in his mouth, and then was it in his gum, or did he go through his cheek?
I didn't see it sticking out the other side. I wonder if the thing that makes me question too is if it's a gimmicked needle, where if on the inside that the needle would go inside and then suction cup to his gum to make it look like it's in it.
Oh, that makes sense, because if you watch before that happens, Swerve, I thought it was a blood pack, but now that you say it, you see him put something in his mouth.
No, he was undoing his grills so he could take them out.
Oh, it looked like he had put something in his cheek.
He could have done that too. I wouldn't be surprised, but he unlocked his grills so Hangman could take him out.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, and then right after that, I mean, not only the hypodermic needle, but we saw it with Jackass Perry. The unprotected chair shots. It's like, yes, we know it's wrestling, but we've learned over the years what CTE can do to people. We learned it with Chris Benoit. We learned it with like Junior Seau in the NFL, a few other NFL players. You know, why do you have to do that?
Yeah.
Some of their stuff is entertaining. Leading up to that cage match, that Hangman and Swerve match was currently one of my favorite storylines, because the bloodline fell off after Mania, and that storyline, when it picked up, was amazing. But they just ruined it for me.
Yeah.
And then with the chairs too, I don't have a problem with the unprotected chair shots to the head as long as they're gimmick chairs where they are shaved down. Because if it's getting hit in the head with that, because that would be no different in my eyes as someone getting hit in the head with a trash can or a cookie sheet, which we see all the time. We don't really take it wrong. So as long as they're gimmicked, I don't have a problem with it. Like when Swerve got hit too, I think the bottom of the chair came unscrewed, so they had it that way too. So as long as they're putting the right effort into doing this stuff to protect the guys, I'm okay with it for all these special effects, because we see them in Hollywood all the time. But if they're actually doing the real stuff, like that's how that cinder block was real for effect, I'm not cool with that.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, it definitely was not the best image. And now I don't know if you've heard, but the AEW is talking about another show coming to like Fox or Paramount or something. Yeah,
because they signed the new deal with Warner Brothers, and now they're in discussions with Fox.
Because aren't those are related somehow? Because I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to trace this
Paramount and Warner Brothers is part of
Paramount. CBS, I know.
Yeah, CBS.
And I think HBO
is Warner Brothers Discovery.
Warner Brothers Discovery, yeah.
Yeah, Warner Brothers Discovery and CBS Paramount. So Warner Brothers Discovery
Hulu is connected with Disney, which I think is connected with Fox.
No, ESPN.
Yeah.
ESPN,
doesn't Disney own Fox?
Hulu. No, Disney owns ABC.
Yeah.
ABC, ESPN, and Disney.
Disney owns 21st Century Fox, I think.
Yeah, that's a completely different than the Fox networks.
Fox Corporation is separate. Okay, I was trying to remember. It's like there's so many different networks and streaming services, and some are connected and some are not. It's so confusing.
Yep.
Because I have
Fox is on streaming
services connected to Disney. Yeah, Fox has what's their streaming thing called? It's like their news
Tubi.
thing. Okay.
Well, they have Fox News now also, but Tubi's the one that
yeah.
they use for the main shows.
Oh, another thing I'm not going to subscribe to.
Yeah. I don't blame you there.
I was going to say, tonight there's something else on TV along with NXT, so may have to do a taping.
The first debate. They need that to be a cage match.
Yeah, for real.
But going back to SmackDown, was anyone else surprised that a week after having like an amazing street fight for the women's title, Micha loses to Chelsea Green?
Yeah, it's surprising booking.
Unless we're gonna have Chelsea Green versus Nia Jax, and they want to propel her that way. That's the only way I could see that maybe happening, because she's been whispering to Nia that Tiffany's just gonna stab you in the back for weeks. So if they're going down that road, I can see the decision in the booking. But other than that, I agree with you. There's no.
Well, I mean, also Chelsea has to eat the pin from Julia tonight, so
yeah.
I wonder if that's really the only way they can give it to Tiffy Stratton without her betraying Nia, is Chelsea Green facing Nia Jax, winning, and then Tiffy cashing in.
No, I don't want. If Chelsea finally gets a belt, I don't want them to take it off her. Oh, don't make her a transitional. I'd be so disappointed.
They could have interference from Roxanne tonight, though, to not have Chelsea take the pin, like just disqualify Julie if they wanted to.
Oh, and set up the feud. I like it. Okay. That's way better booking. Yeah, I'm good with that.
And then we got Austin Theory take the freaking best KO stunner ever.
He's like rock level good at selling. Like, as much hate as he gets, he can sell so well.
That was like Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
No, so what were you gonna say?
I was going to say that was like Carmelo Hayes last week when he took LA Knight's finisher. That was like the greatest ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, before we move on real quick, getting back to what you said before, Jason, with you not liking how the fans saying that stuff, I agree with you, and this is why I say it, just because I really am getting sick of the two companies being so petty towards each other and just trying to replicate. Like I know the cage matches happen all the time, but don't put them right next to each other. And I'm just sick of them taking shots at each other. Do your own thing. You got two good things going right now. Just quit the pettiness. There's no need for it.
The fans too. They have to. I hear it all the time when a wrestler leaves WWE and they get signed at AEW. They're like, "Oh, AEW's just old WWE guys that got fired." It's like, what do you expect them to do? They're wrestlers. It would be like a doctor leaving a hospital and then you getting mad at him for going to work in another hospital in the same profession.
I gave this example. Like, I grew up in a small town and I always worked in restaurants. Like, everybody always at some point in time worked with each other because there was only so many restaurants, and if you left one, you worked at a different one, and odds are you'd run into your buddies there and you'd end up somewhere else, and people go to that restaurant and be like, weren't you just working at this other place? And be like, no, I came to work here. It's very much the same thing. It's a very small pond.
Yeah. They're not going to change professions just because they got let go or their contract expired with WWE. They're going to go work in the same profession.
Yeah. Now, on them taking shots at each other, I'll go a different way with it. I'm okay with it if it's done well. Like, the pot shots they're doing now are kind of whack. But back in the day, like DX invading WCW or taking the tank there, the little. I
was there that night at the Norfolk Scope when DX was there.
It's awesome. I love stuff like that. Like, do more of that. Have fun. But some of it can be a little cheap.
Yeah.
Now is definitely a cheaper time, but back then, so much fun. You know, them making fun of Ted Turner. I thought that was hilarious.
I like the little subtle ones, like Drew McIntyre taking the picture with Jack Perry.
Yeah.
More of that.
No one saw that coming, and when it happened, you were like, "Holy shit! That's like monumental. That's epic. That's, you know, two guys from two companies together." That's just to throw a pot shot at CM Punk. That was awesome.
Or like, wasn't it Bailey was there when Sasha won the championship over in AEW? Like, stuff like that, I think.
They were dressed in disguise.
Yeah. Getting the shots of them backstage or whatever. Like, I think that's cool. Yeah. Do more stuff like that. That's great. So, you know, I think there's too much like hostility, which is weird because, like, I don't remember this much during the Monday Night Wars. Like, I was a big WCW guy, but like, I don't remember my WWF friends back then, like, being dicks about it or anything. And like, I don't know. I don't remember it as much back then. And online, the community was very small back then, and we were on forums and stuff, but it wasn't like it is now. Like, people weren't that mad about it. Like, people would be like, "Hey, watch this. This is cool." And sometimes we'd watch other programs, but like the toxicity wasn't there, and like the stupid memes and all that. Like, it's so dumb sometimes.
Yeah. It was like,
that's the way it is with everything in the world, man.
Even on TV back then, there was a lot of pot shots hit back and forth, just like when WCW came out the night that Mick Foley won his first championship. They spoiled that before it was even aired because it was pre-taped.
It didn't work though. It was like
people knew, so that, and if you actually go back and watch like the Monday Night Wars when they released that DVD back in like what 05 or whatever, they talked about it and they said that once everyone knew that Mick Foley was going to win the championship, it ended up hurting WCW because everyone was like, oh shit, Mick Foley's going to win. Mankind, Cactus Jack, everyone loved him, so they were like, we're going to go watch that now. Which
on the Monday Night Wars, they had that rating slider, and they showed like right after Tony Schiavone said that, like how the ratings like immediately ticked over. Like that was crazy how fast that was.
And at the end of the show, because they announced that they spoiled it at the beginning of that Monday Nitro, and even myself, I was watching it live. When I knew like the last 10 minutes of Raw was going to happen, I'm like, Mick Foley's about to win the championship because they told us. I'm switching to Raw now.
And see, on the other side of the coin, I was a WCW guy, and I remembered watching Cactus Jack. And when I heard that Cactus Jack, win a championship somewhere, I was like, "Holy crap! That guy was like a jobber in WCW. Like, this is awesome." So then we watched over, and we're like, "This is so cool."
My first match ever seeing Cactus Jack that I can remember was Halloween Havoc when he wrestled in a electric chair match. That was amazing. Abdullah against Abdullah the Butcher.
Extreme wrestling back then was so much better than extreme wrestling now. Like a lot of it now is just gross. Back then it was like, it was surprising and shocking, but it wasn't like gross. I don't know, maybe I was younger then, but yeah, it's completely different.
Back then they catered more towards the younger generation, so it was like all stupid stuff. Like when Abdullah the Butcher got put in the electric chair, you knew he wasn't going to electrocute him.
That didn't happen. Yeah.
That's another way.
WWE has tried to do some of that. I mean, with the Seth Rollins taking, dude's eye out, like, sure, but
the Miz and the Zombies.
Yeah, that's so crazy. But not so much now. It's completely different. So yeah, that was a SmackDown. So I guess we'll pop on over to Raw because I'm curious to hear some thoughts on this one. I copied these results from the WWE website. That's why they're worded all weird. The Wyatt Six conquer American Made in a street fight. WWE Tag Team Champion Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defeated the Unholy Union. Dominic Mysterio defeated Dragon Lee. Natalya, Lyra Valkyria, and Zelina Vega defeated the PFC. I'm just not saying that anymore. Rey Mysterio defeated Finn Balor by DQ. Jey Uso defeated Braun Strowman, Dragunov, and Pete Dunne to win the IC title #1 contender tournament. I think, Jason, I think you said that on the last show we did, or when this first started, that you thought Jey was going to win it, from what I remember. So,
yep. Now, before we get into anything, the Pure Forehead Collective, Rachel.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that yet.
We were watching it one night, and she made a comment that they all look like they have giant foreheads. But Pure Fusion Collective, does anyone else hate the fact that they throw their fists together like the Shield used to?
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's like, you're not the Shield. Get over it. You suck. And move on.
It's dumb. So I don't know where to start. There's so much fun stuff. Let's go to the Wyatt Six match. How did you feel about this street fight?
I loved it. It was amazing. When Rowan took the barrier and was like, bitch, I got a riot shield, and started running into everybody. It was like, the match all around was entertaining, and I loved the way they did it.
Yeah.
The only complaint I have about the street fight is the camera work. You could see too many people sleeping, especially Ivy Nile, because Nikki Cross was under the ring a lot of the time, I believe, if I remember correctly. And I just think with the level of production they have, they can easily avoid getting people on camera sleeping, like when they go to that high shot over the ring. You don't have to do that there.
They should, with that many people, though, they shouldn't, like, and I agree with Rachel. I wanted more Abby the Witch, Nikki Cross. You still, outside of what's going on screen, you still have fans in attendance.
Yeah.
You can have all of them doing different things on different parts of the floor, different parts of the ring or the arena, and it would still be entertaining because you have those fans there that you have to think about too. And I understand why they did it, because they were trying to focus more on what they can put on TV.
Right.
But they could have had so much more going on. But it was entertaining the way they did it.
It was still a good match, yeah.
Yeah.
This feud is going longer than I thought it was going to. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out where they're going, like what the direction is. Like, I like the stable. I love it. I think they're doing really well with it, but I don't know. I feel like this feud needs to be done.
I think it is after last night. The way they had at the end had Chad Gable laying in the ring in front of him when they faded to black. I think that was, them being done with this feud, and it's going to go somewhere else from here. Probably I want to see him get into a feud with like Randy Orton.
Yeah, I think he'll be going back to SmackDown though, probably, unfortunately.
Yeah. Basically, I was kind of disappointed to see Unholy Union eat another loss. I knew it was going to happen, but I don't know. I feel like it kind of delegitimizes that team a little bit.
My ginger princess lost.
Yeah, so disappointing. I mean, obviously my favorite part of the night. You can tell by the episode thumbnail. I don't know if he wrote that promo himself. It's just when I heard it, I was like, bro, like, how did you even?
I was telling Mike this before we went on the air. Did you notice, Chad, that Bret Hart had to ask Wade Barrett where the hard cam was? Before they started talking, Bret literally asked Wade where the hard cam side. You saw Wade point to the direction he needed to face.
Oh my gosh. It was amazing. Like, Walter is like the best. He's one of those heels.
Walter.
Gunther. I already loved him beforehand. Like, I've loved his stuff before he even came to NXT, but like, dude is just doing it. Like, top-notch guy. I'm greatly enjoying what he's got going on, and that just cemented it, because we've been making fun of that for a few weeks now about his beef with Goldberg. Like,
yeah, the fact that they brought it up was amazing, and I agree, Torin. This segment was kind of awkward because Bret has not been in front of a camera on the mic in over 25 years.
Yeah.
So, well, it's been about 24 because he didn't come over to WWE when WCW bought him out or got bought out. So he hasn't been on camera, and just him talking was, you could tell he was still using the same promo style that he did in the 90s. And it was just weird to me. But Gunther, as much as
you liking him better now?
No, I don't like him any better. I would
be curious to see if more comes out later about that, and see if that was actually something that Bret said to do.
And I don't like him anymore, but for once, he didn't make me like him any less.
I mean, that's all you can ask for in life. I don't like you, but I don't like you less than I already didn't like you. So, I mean, that's what we call progress.
And it was fan service for the fans of Calgary. Bret didn't have any place being there.
No.
It's like, why did they have him there? It's like, yeah, you have Sammy, who's Canadian, also loves Bret Hart, but they could have done that segment and enhanced the story between Sammy and Gunther a lot better without Bret being there.
Yeah.
One thing that I really like about Triple H, too, that any of these things that get stirred up in the IWC online, he always makes positive about it on the show, because as I was telling Jason before we started, I think Bret's insufferable through this whole thing. So when I heard he was going to be on the show, I'm like, great, this is the last thing I wanted to see, because I really, as we were talking about with Ric Flair last week, he's another guy I don't think that can really add anything to the show, but this is probably one of my top 10 favorite moments out of wrestling this year. I'm not going to lie, and I would love to. I know Bret's probably not in the best shape to do it, but if we saw a tag match between Sammy and Bret and Goldberg and Gunther, I would be all over that. Or if you could have another Canadian take Bret's place, maybe.
I will go on. I mean, and I said this back in the day, and this is one of. I'm sure everybody has one of those takes that just people will flame you endlessly on. And I'm sorry if this ends up with us getting canceled, but I think Bret Hart was a little overrated.
100%.
Okay.
I was a Shawn Michaels guy.
Okay. Yes, exactly.
Like,
I don't feel so bad.
100%. And if it wasn't for the British Bulldog, I probably never would have watched Bret Hart's matches and actually liked them.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Intercontinental match, I can't remember what WrestleMania it was, but the Intercontinental title match between Brett and the British Bulldog, one of my all-time favorite matches.
Is it 19?
It was like 93, 90. Was it 93, 94? WrestleMania 7? Or was
SummerSlam 92?
At SummerSlam that year, because it was in England and the British Bulldog won his first IC title match that night.
Yep. I was trying to remember. I was like, wait, okay, I lost myself there. But yeah, I always thought he was a little bit overrated. I think Owen Hart was underrated, but that's my different take on it. So, but I will say I did lose respect for Brett with the taking the time to take all those digs at Goldberg on that WCW show. It felt unnecessary, and I was surprised they included it. Goldberg did not kill WCW. Goldberg's a top guy, just like every company in the world has one. Roman Reigns. I mean, everybody has one. He was the guy at the time. It is what it is. Can't get mad at your top guy. Get mad at your bookers. That's not
Goldberg was that guy that you knew when he came to the ring he wasn't going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So until he got hit with the taser stick thing.
Oh man, I remember the taser thing. I forgot about that.
The cattle prod. Sorry, yeah.
That was like the worst plot device.
Crying out loud.
I was anytime that came out, it was like, I mean, not to speak ill of the man, but yeah, you always knew that was going to be out, and it was like the cheapest plot device, but people liked it, so it is what it is. But yeah, that was Gunther and Brett was probably the highlight of the month for me. I really want to see when it comes out later if they wrote that promo or if that was like, I couldn't tell. I tried to watch it again and look at their facial features and I couldn't really tell. So I'm curious whose idea that was.
I wonder if they told Gunther not to say it, or they told them all in general and said, don't bring up Goldberg, because the look on Brett's face kind of looked a little like, did he just say that?
The whole night he looked unenthusiastic, though. I thought he
really did, and he backstage and stuff. Yep, he did. He looked like he did not want to be there.
Yeah,
exactly.
He did it for the paycheck.
Yep. So, other highlights from last night. What about Priest?
Damian Priest
and Finn Balor. What are you thinking? Where you think?
That promo, that segment, I loved. I love that they're giving Finn Balor the mic again and letting him go.
Yeah, exactly.
And his new entrance.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah,
it was
tremendous.
The new Judgment Day logo, everything just feels fresh. It feels new.
Yeah,
and him and Damian going at it. I mean, can't wait for the match.
I'm glad they didn't go change the Judgment Day name to Street Trash. Yeah, it's the worst name.
Every time I heard it, that song from the beginning song from Aladdin would run through my head.
Oh.
So it's funny you mentioned Finn's entrance. So you know how
hang on one sec. I saw this. Speaking of Aladdin, this is funny, and there's a generational divide. And I read an article about this, and they were talking about people's reactions to James Earl Jones dying. And there were more people reacting about being sad that Mustafa died than people reacting that were sad that Darth Vader died. Or Mufasa, not Mustafa. I'm getting mixed up with myself.
Mustafa Ali.
He's still good. He's alive. He's not doing much, but he's still here. Mufasa Ali, my favorite African wrestler, voiced by James Earl Jones.
That would have been great.
But Chad, how you mentioned the Fatal Influence, you thought it was a porno last week?
Yes.
So when I saw FXXX on the screen, I said, because I got him confused with the PFC, and I said, did Chad call this before it happened? And then I saw Finn come out. I'm like, oh, okay.
Tonight on Brazers.
Yeah.
Fatal Influence. Yeah. That's that. I mean, it's provocative. What's it from? Nobody knows what it means. Yeah, it's provocative.
No, it's not. Gets the fans going.
Exactly. It's you have to have that. It is what it is. Women's wrestling and whatnot, it's fine. And I have a lot of favorite women wrestlers, but yes, very much some of them are still eye candy because men are still men. Most men watch wrestling, and people who write the shows know that. So, and I'm sure some of them are fine with it. I'm sure some probably not so much, but it's still a thing. Not much you can do about it, it seems like, but it is what it is, I guess. Let's see. So
we can glance over that trash and move on to Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not happy Natalia's back.
I assumed she was just going to settle into being a backstage coach. Like,
yeah, I thought.
Well,
so
it's Canada. It's Canada though, so I mean,
that's why she was there, and that's why Brett was there.
Yeah,
Fan service.
Yeah, probably just fan service. I mean, for the dozens of Natalia fans, I'm sure they were very happy. I mean,
for the dozens and dozens. Was anyone else like highly disappointed that they hyped up a special friggin' partner for them, and then it was Natalia?
Well, they sort of hinted on it last week.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I forget what she said, but Lyra said something about it.
Did they talked about the plastic Barbie doll? Is that how they teased it?
As I said, I don't remember how exactly it was.
One more syringe of Botox in her, and she's gonna pop.
We don't do syringes. That's an AEW thing.
Oh, that's true. Swerve. Whose house? The doctor's house.
I was going to say, after the steroid trials, WWE can't use that on TV anymore.
Oh, yeah, they're not allowed.
Did we talk about the McMahon documentary? I don't think we did.
Yeah, we did last week a little bit, I think.
We did. Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay. I can't remember if we mentioned that or not. I know I've been seeing a lot of different opinions about it online, so I'm still. We may have to do a show just reacting to that because I'm going to be taking notes. I'm curious.
They released the first trailer for it.
Yeah, it was really good.
Oh,
it looked really good. It's pinned to the top of the sub. Somebody posted it, so I announced it.
It's going to be an episodic show, so I mean, we should have a segment every week talking about it.
And the end of the trailer makes it sound like they're not going to gloss over the controversy. So
no, that's one of the main focuses is the sexual allegation, and
the steroid trials are in it. Like a whole bunch of stuff they're gonna go into. So I think it'll be well done if they do it right. I mean, say what you will about McMahon, I'll say it. WWE doesn't pay for us to be here. He's a crappy dude. No, we had to use poop jokes, didn't we? Poor taste. Again, to the victim who is not watching this, but it's unfortunate that happened, and it's terrible, and it says a lot about power dynamics between men and women. But Vince did a lot for the industry, but he's still a garbage person. I mean, not just for this incident, but for years of you could read on and on about the things he's done. So you can look at what someone's done and say, okay, that's cool and all, but you don't have to look up to them or, put them up on a pedestal for anything. You can be realistic about it. So,
just like I don't know if you guys saw what Hulk Hogan said last week in an interview saying that,
but I can only imagine.
And, I'm going to mention his name. Fans, if you're listening, don't get mad at me, but Hogan said if fans can forgive Chris Benoit for what he did,
that Logan Paul podcast, I remember that,
still watch his matches and think he's one of the best of all time, then he thinks with everything he did and has said that the fans will forgive him.
I mean, yes, being racist is less offensive than murdering your family,
but you're at the end of the day, you're still Hulk Hogan, and we hate you.
Yeah. I mean, it's still not okay, bud.
Yeah.
See, the way I view it is just.
And who forgave Chris Benoit?
Yeah.
No one. True too.
And like we've talked about before, and like you just said about Vince, you can respect the work that he did and what he contributed to the business in a good way, but you'll never forgive the horror that he created.
And I'll say this, there are people out there who try to gloss over Chris Benoit. But some do it respectfully. Some are like, yeah, he had a good career. And I loved watching his matches in WCW. Like, they were always my favorites of any pay-per-view. Yeah, I can say that, but he's also a murderer. But I'll say that, as someone who runs the subreddit, I can tell you that it's very rare. Maybe like once a month, there's a post that comes in that I have to delete because it's someone coming in and like defending Chris Benoit for that. And I'm like, no. So it's not as often as you think.
And if anyone out there wants to, just like hear someone actually heartfelt talk about Chris Benoit and that way, look up Paul Heyman reacting to a fan talking about Chris Benoit. And if you haven't seen it, it's probably one of the greatest things that anyone has ever said about Chris Benoit, but in a sense, not, because there was a fan in this Q&A that was just like, he kept calling Chris Benoit my boy. He's like, oh, my boy. And Paul Heyman laid into the kid.
Yeah.
And broke everything down about Chris Benoit. And if you go watch that clip, it is probably one of the best things I've ever seen from Paul Heyman.
To spin this one, I've been kind of diving back into like old matches and stuff. And speaking of Paul Heyman, it made me think of something I watched last night. Or it's like the day before yesterday, I think. Random match came up in this playlist I was watching. And I'm sure you guys remember this very well. CM Punk defeating Ryback and Paul Heyman in a Hell in a Cell match.
The fact that Ryback was ever in a Hell in a Cell match surprised the hell out of me.
So for new fans who may not have seen that or been around back then, go watch it. Go sign up for the network.
Yeah. You won't get that time back ever in your life, but go watch it.
Yeah. And if you don't know Ryback, go read his Twitter feed and you'll see why he doesn't work here anymore.
Yeah.
See, I think with these people too, you should always just judge them separately for what they do in an industry and then their personal life, because it's two completely separate things. You can look at them in a positive light and one a negative in the other. Like if you didn't do something too bad, you could still contribute to a product to make it better. I think you should be there, but if there's certain things like that you just should be there for, and that's between you and whoever it happened with and whoever else is involved, may it be the legal system or whoever.
I'll give you another example. Val Venus.
Yeah.
Utter
you see the sign for him in AEW a few weeks ago?
Val Venus, utter garbage. You read through his Twitter if you can stomach at least a page of it. But in WWE, groundbreaking.
His insides were on fire.
Yeah. But in WWE, groundbreaking. His stuff was awesome. But in real life, garbage. I'll be glad about what he contributed to the business, but in real life, horrible person.
It was a whole different time back then. Like, I was watching something the other day, and like one of his promo pieces came up in like a collab video. And it was just like degrading towards women at the time.
Yeah.
And back then we were watching it as kids and we looked up to it. And now I'm look back at it and I'm like, what the fuck did I watch?
It's one of those things. Yeah. One of those things. And this comes up a lot, things that we watched before it's hard. I took a Western civilization class when I was in college, and I had a professor that said, he was talking about slavery. And he said, one of the things that I know this is hot topic for this wrestling podcast. He said, things have to be judged by the context of the time in which they occurred. So there are people online who post stuff about take the show Scrubs, for example. There are people online, or Friends. There are people now who say that shows like that should be canceled. They're not on TV anymore, but people say those shouldn't be aired on streaming platforms anymore because they're quote unquote problematic. And watching them now, most of the stuff we watched back then is absolutely problematic, but back then it wasn't. So we can't judge things by today's standards as much because it was just a different time.
Like one of the movie theaters here, and I think it's in Millbury, they're re-showing, and I do not know why they're doing it because it's causing so many issues online.
Song of the South.
Blazing Saddles.
Oh, Blazing Saddles.
Which is even worse.
The sheriff is coming.
And there's people, they're arguing on there. They're like, that you shouldn't show this, but then there's people like, I hope they don't censor it. And it's just like, why? I understand it was a different time, and it was showing that different time. And this movie came out in the early 80s.
I remember watching when I was a kid. So it was around for a while.
My dad had it on. I'm going to date myself. My dad had it on beta.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I remember watching it when I was like 5. And
oh no, it's 1974.
Oh wow, okay.
But I remember watching in the 80s. So yeah,
I watched it in 85. Sense. I was 5 for the first time, and like literally, like, why would they show that now?
Mm-hmm.
They think they can make money off of it.
Oh yeah.
I just if it's been there and it's in history, I just don't think you should cancel it or erase it. If you don't want to partake in it, don't watch it.
But exactly. I feel the same way.
If you get no one that shows up to that theater and they make no money off it, they ain't gonna show it again.
But the best thing is watching Gen Z kids react to stuff. Like I saw a video the other day. It was on some influencer's page, and there was a Gen Z kid reacting to The Birth of the Hand.
Oh God!
They were like, "How would this even happen? This doesn't make any sense." And I'm like, "Of course it doesn't."
It was wrestling in the 90s.
Yeah, we didn't question things in the 90s. We just let them happen and enjoyed them.
Yep, we were kids.
The whole I saw one where someone was reacting to the Edge and Lita segment in the ring. They were like, "How was this televised?" Well, back in my day, we weren't so sensitive, snowflake. So
Lita's whole titty popped out on that segment.
Exactly. I think AEW is trying to bring back some of that edge, but I don't think it's going over the same way.
No. And there's a lot of people saying that when Raw goes to Netflix, they want to see it go back to the Attitude Era,
you can't.
And where they don't censor things. They go back to doing whatever they want and being controversial.
Yep.
I don't think even at this day and age, it would sell as much as it did back then.
No, it won't.
People wouldn't buy into it like they did then. Because back then, things happened. You had Val Venus, who was degrading women. You had Razor Ramon, who looked like a Colombian drug lord.
The Godfather, who was a pimp and had hoes.
Yeah. He was trying to give hoes to the Undertaker. I mean, that wouldn't go over nowadays.
No.
There's different things you can do to be edgy now that are
exactly
classy. Well, not really classy, but they're less cancelable.
Yeah. Yeah, you can be edgy now. Like you don't have to be straight edge, but you can still be edgy and it not offend like everyone. Generally, you can see things like you can probably say like someone might be offended by this, but not a lot of people.
Right.
Okay.
Being offensive on TV now and like shocking the fans nowadays is cursing on TV.
I know.
Like Bryan Danielson said the F word on Dynamite a few weeks ago.
Said it again on Collision, I believe.
Yep. And then when Pat McAfee said shit.
Or once, not too long ago, Michael Cole said one. I can't remember what it was. I think it was during pay-per-view. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's considered controversial now on television. So, I mean... Let's see what they do.
When The Rock came back and all of a sudden everybody's all like, why is the guy from Moana so angry?
One thing is, too, with the new administration, a big thing of Vince was to push the PG rating and keep it that way. So I could see them pushing the boundaries a little bit, but you ain't going to get it full-fledged like it used to be. And I think pushing it a little bit more is okay, in that you should go after attacking like individual talents as opposed to saying something bad about a group of people. That's a better way to approach it, like how Gunther did last night to Bret Hart.
And I understand.
I think on Netflix, we'll get everything up to the F word. And no more crowds getting censored. I think that's as far as they're going to go.
And I think pushing the line is, and like people, like I said earlier, going back to the Attitude Era. I mean, we as adults now grew up, and I know you didn't, Mike, because you're only like 17. But but Chad, we grew up in the 90s with the Attitude Era, but now we are growing up and we have kids. And if the Attitude Era was still a thing, we wouldn't let our kids watch it.
Not a single episode. Nope.
My dad, when I was a kid, the only good thing he ever did for us was on the back of our house, we had a porch, but he built like an extra additional room behind our house just for me, so I could play video games and watch wrestling on Monday nights.
Oh, I'm jealous.
So like, cool. And if he would have actually been in there when I was a kid while I was watching wrestling, I never would have been able to watch it back then.
No, my family was super religious. No, I'm no.
I was an altar boy. I taught vacation Bible school in the summers, and like I would never been able to watch it. And I watched ECW too back then. But now that we're grown up, you know, like I said, having kids and not wanting them to watch that kind of stuff, it's like that's why I think Vince pushed the PG era, because as much as we hate him now, he understood he had to grow. And that now that those kids grew up and now they're having kids, we have to tone it down so that way we can have them raise their kids on it.
It's like I'm sure Burger King doesn't want to offer a vegan burger, but they do it because their sales went up a lot when they did it, because you include more people. It's smart business practices.
And the Impossible Whopper is actually pretty good too.
It is really good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's very common for me. But yeah, it's good business practices. And you have to think the number of people who are going to get mad that you have an Impossible Whopper and not eat at Burger King is very small. It's the same thing with wrestling. The number of people who are mad that your show is PG and are going to stop watching is very small. It doesn't.
The only people that are going to stop eating at Burger King because they have a vegan Whopper or the Impossible Whopper are in some sort of cult.
Some kind of just well-known cult. Very much so. I like it though. It actually tastes good. Like, I don't know how they do it. I remember I watched a special on it and they were talking about how they made the meat, and there was something about the way they made the proteins that they could actually make it bleed. It was unnerving to think about, but it actually tastes very good. I'll eat more. I mean, if it's easy to 3D print meat that tastes the same as regular meat, I don't care where it comes from. Like, I'm good with both
the regular Whopper and Impossible Whopper. I had my girlfriend at the time cut them in half and put them on a plate. I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
It was hard for me to decide.
It's good.
Yeah.
Now the old one they used to have, the old Burger King they had like carrots and stuff in it. You know, kind of
the BOGO burger, or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what it was.
BOGO burger. The BOGO burger. The vegetable burger.
Sucked.
McDonald's is supposed to be having one soon, the McPlant or something that they've been testing that I'm pretty curious about. So
White Castle has the Impossible White Castle burger.
Yeah, their little sliders are good. Yeah, I've had those there before. White Castle is kind of a treat whenever we travel because we have to go past Nashville to get to a White Castle, or north to like freaking like Chicago. Like, they don't have them around here. It's very sad. So now that we've thoroughly run the gamut, we have NXT here in a few hours, along with another network we'll be covering an even more brutal SmackDown. So see where everybody lands
Last
tonight.
man standing match. Let's go.
How can we have a 3-hour SmackDown? SmackDown has been so boring with 2 hours. How is this going to?
It's the season premiere. You're going to have The Rock. You're going to have Roman.
I hope so. Oh, I hope so.
So, I mean, we're going to have Roman. We're going to have Jimmy come back. We're going to have the formation of Roman's bloodline. So there's going to be a lot of story to tell this week because they want.
You got to remember when the Roman Cody storyline and all that was going hot. Like, those opening segments were like 30 minutes long. So that's going to eat up already.
Too.
Yeah.
Yep. So they're going to have a lot this week. They're going to push a lot of new stories. They're going to try to build on some leading into Bad Blood.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting. Oh, we didn't talk about that. As we have predicted for weeks now, or for months rather, the CM Punk and Drew story will go to a Hell in a Cell, and I'm sure most other people figured was going to happen anyway. So I hope it is brutal. I want it to be a slobber knocker. So we'll see how that one ends up.
So, when sort of just on the multiple topics we've covered today, do you guys think we will be getting a third 2-hour show possibly with seeing that you got the Raw going to 2 hours, SmackDown will be 2 hours, and if they keep it 2 hours to use that roster, and then maybe to pertain to what we were just talking about, could you do a third show where it is more extreme and more towards an older audience possibly?
It's only a matter of time before there's a third show. AEW has like 14 shows.
I wonder if that's what they're going to do with Saturday Night Main Event.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. There will be a third show at some point that's not Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. Like,
yeah,
it's going to happen. Like many have said, just make Main Event 2 hours and don't throw so much filler in it.
Yeah.
Film it, put your dark matches from Raw and SmackDown on there, and you're good to go. Like, there's no work involved. You're already having the matches. Throw them on there. Good stuff. And a lot of dark matches are really good.
Yeah. Need some story on Main Event and Road Dogg off commentary.
I'll do commentary.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think anyone's better than him. He's brutal.
Throw one of the Pauls in there and let them do it.
Throw Triple H out there. Let him do commentary for Main Event.
I'm sure he'd do very good from calling all that stuff from Gorilla all these years.
Yeah. Let Sean and Triple H do the commentary on Main Event.
That would
bring
be
back
awesome.
not Gorilla Monsoon. Oh,
Jesus! How's that reach?
What's his face? The guy who was the governor of Minnesota.
Oh, Ventura.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah.
He used to do commentary back in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
And he just signed a Legends deal with WWE too.
Is Larry Zbyszko still around? Yes, he is not dead.
I don't think he could talk barely though now. But Victoria just signed a Legends deal with WWE too.
They should have got more Ronaldo. He just signed with Maple Leaf Wrestling, I believe it is, some promotion in Canada. I forget exactly who's starting it, but I would like to see him back.
Someone who was just on WWE programming recently, Arn Anderson.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't think Arn Anderson would be entertaining as a commentator, though. He's good cutting promos like a badass, but
I can't believe we haven't talked about this yet. What do we think of Joe Tessitore?
Last night when Jey Uso was coming out and he grabbed the fan sign with the yeet stuff on it, I'm like, he's trying way too hard to be Pat.
Yep. Thought the same thing. Yep.
I was like, it doesn't work for you, buddy.
Nope.
You're not over the top. We don't like you yet.
No, we don't know you like that. It's like when the new guy comes into work and tries to make inappropriate jokes. It's like, we don't know you like that. You can't do that yet. You don't go here.
Yeah, you don't go here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bianca.
Yeah. You need to earn your shot, my friend.
Yep.
Anybody can come around. I mean, when Pat came around, it wasn't the Pat he is now, and I love him. I'd have him announcing every show. Even all the haters out there, like, I love Pat McAfee. I'll have him announce everything. So
the energy, he brings that energy to the match. Even matches that are boring, you're listening to him and you get hype too because he's hype.
Or who I'd like to have as an announcer again would be Snoop Dogg.
Oh God, yes. Snoop and Pat McAfee together would be great.
But they both have to be like lifted AF when they're doing it.
They need to be zooted out their asses.
Oh man. Just have them call a whole pay-per-view. It will set records.
And have Michael Cole in the middle trying to keep them straight.
And then someone gets Michael Cole high.
Oh God, they all get high first.
Oh, it would be tremendous. So, anyways, you guys got anything else?
Smoke sesh. That's what they can call the pay-per-view.
Saturday night smoke.
Hosted by RVD.
RVD's the backstage announcer. The backstage interview
guy. You could do that. Call it like Saturday night smoke or something, and then you have like the Street Profits, like Who Wants to Smoke, like in the intro video.
And then all the smoke clears and Snoop Dogg and Pat McAfee just like, what?
Yeah.
Riddle can be the new jobber.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to see him next week. I can't wait to see how terrible he is live at Polar Park.
Randy. Oh, worst. Oh man. Anyways,
he's wrestling Elias next week at a big time wrestling show in Worcester.
Ezekiel.
Yep.
Elrod. Doesn't he? What's he go by now?
Elijah.
Okay. There's too many different names. The whole family's confusing. They all look alike. I don't know if that's a racist thing or not. They all look the same to me. Every one of those look
the same.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So, anything else you guys got?
No.
Any expectations for Victory Road? Any titles you think are gonna change hands at all?
Not that I know. Not that I can think of. What matches are there? I completely forgot.
Nick Nemeth versus Moose, Josh Alexander versus Joe Hendry, Zachary Wentz versus Mike Bailey, ABC versus The System, and Alicia Edwards and Masha Slamovich versus Danny Luna and Jody Threat.
Nick Nemeth is going to retain the title because JBL is going to get involved.
I'm sure Joe Hendry will beat Josh Alexander. He probably needs a win anyway.
Yep.
X Division, Zachary Wentz and Mike Bailey. Zachary Wentz is champion.
Yeah, he's going to retain.
Probably. Tag titles, ABC and The System. They'll probably retain.
Yeah, probably.
And then the knockouts tags, Alicia and Masha and Danny and Jody.
I think that's pending if Alicia's okay too, because she took a brutal fall there back at that Emergence.
If she's not and they can't wrestle, let's get what's her face in Miss Chu.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, it's anything can happen now in WWE and XTNA. It's
yep. NXTNA.
Well, I guess that's all I have then, unless y'all have any burning desires or questions or anything like that. It looks like we're caught up on comments. So I guess we'll head out with that. Thanks to everybody for dropping by. And again, to our audio audience, where most of our people lie and watch. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to watch us on YouTube because you're missing out on all the exciting graphics that I diligently prepare before each show. So that will be all for us, and we will see you on the next show.